Here's a truth bomb for you. The right discovery questions don't just uncover needs, they create a desire for your solution. I'll tell you more in just a minute. Hi, I'm Jeff C. West. I'm the award-winning author of 4 business and sales parables. I have over 30 years of successful sales and leadership experience across multiple industries. I've shared the stage, both in person and virtually, with legends like Bob Burg and Brian Tracy. I know what it takes to help you win in sales and leadership, and I'm here to help you do exactly that. So let's get started. In our video series, Sales Success the Fusion Points Way, I've been teaching you how to incorporate fusion points in a way that you can work with the natural neurology of the brain and how someone makes a decision and make them comfortable taking the next step. Last week, I encouraged you to consider having sales conversations instead of making sales presentations. The reason's simple. Presentations make us think we're supposed to talk, but conversations get an open exchange of information going back and forth, and that's what you want to do. I also taught you the steps to what I believe make the most effective sales conversation. And we dove into the first step last week, the rapport section. Today, we're going to jump right into the discovery section. In this discovery section, questions are vital. They have to be well crafted, well thought out, and they have to lead to a natural conclusion. But not just any question is going to work. I'm going to give you one type of question you should avoid. In today's day and time, with the technology that's out there, avoid questions that show you didn't do your homework. My friend Art Subject talks about the idea that you shouldn't make cold calls, you should make smart calls. In other words, investigate a little bit about your prospect. Now, I know this varies based on if you're business to business or business to consumer, and there can be some minor differences here. But if you are in a business to business context in your sales model, and you go into a company and you say, well, what do you guys do here? How long have you been doing it? What it shows is that you didn't go online, you didn't do any research, and it really doesn't make you look very good. This day and time, quite frankly, you can even go into AI tools like ChatGPT, type in the person's name and the company and say, what can you tell me about this person? I have a meeting with them tomorrow. And you can get some pretty decent information. So what kind of questions do you want to ask in the discovery phase? Well, the answer is actually simple, but it takes a little homework. What you want to do is craft questions that result in your prospect having an open and honest discussion about their issues that they're dealing with, some potential solutions, and you want it to take them in the discussion to where their value is from your proposition. And there's a simple way to do that. First off, make a list. Take the time to jot down 3, 4, 5, or 6 different ways that prospect's world actually gets better because they have a relationship with you and your company. And then as you're looking at those ways that their world gets better, ask yourself this question. What kind of scenario would put someone in a situation where they would need this solution? And then as you craft your questions, craft them toward that scenario. You want them to start talking about the scenario that has put them in a situation where a solution to a specific issue that you offer could be a great thing for them in their business. I'm going to give you a couple examples of what I mean, and I'm going to use some of my favorite questions from my days in the employee benefit world. When I was active in that industry, one of the things that was very consistent with employers is there were certain benefits that they really wanted to be able to make available to their employees. And the reason they couldn't do so was because of budgetary issues. They just couldn't justify the expense at this time in their budget. Or maybe it was because they couldn't get enough participation from the employees to have the program. Well, with what I did, I knew 2 things. Number one, this didn't have to be a budgetary item because our programs were offered through payroll deduction. So it didn't have to cost the employer a dime. And second, the participation requirements were so minimal, we would always get them. So it was a piece of cake on that. Now, I could tell them, you probably wanted to offer disability insurance to your employees before, but you chose not to do so because you couldn't afford to. Now, that would have been rude, but anyway, you get the idea. But instead, what I would do is I would ask the question that pointed them toward that discussion. And I would say something along the lines of, have there been any benefit programs that you really wanted to offer your employees in the past, but for whatever reason, you had to choose not to do so. They would almost always say, yeah, as a matter of fact, they are. And it would be disability or vision, dental, something like that in nature. And then I would say, well, if you don't mind me asking, what was the reason that you didn't make it available to them? And it was almost always budget or participation. So they would tell me all those things. And then I would throw something in about the idea with, I can see how that would be important. And it's a shame there was no way around that for you, or something like that, because I was going to set up what I was coming to later. An additional question that I love to ask during the discovery process was about the reasons an employer would want to offer employee benefits. I knew that I could tell that company owner that if they had a better benefit package, they'd be more competitive in the hiring process, so they get a better worker. Their turnover would be lower, so they would have less expense in training. And I knew their employees would be very loyal about that. So I knew all those things were there. But I didn't need to tell that employer that. Instead, what I needed to do was ask the question so the employer would tell me all that. And here's the question that I came up with. It's basically a version of the idea of why do you offer insurance? Now, that being said, that question, and there's some questions in every industry, that comes off a little rhetorical. And back in my days in the employee benefits, if I had asked that question, and I did a couple of times, and that's how I found this out, the employer would look at you like you were from another planet. Well, of course they have to offer benefits. But if I switched it around a little bit, they took it as a compliment. Because here's what I said. You know, Ms. Employer, with so many companies these days having to make a very difficult budgetary choice of either cutting back on employee benefits or eliminating them altogether, you don't. You still go to the expense and the effort, and I commend you for that. I think it says a lot about you. Would you mind sharing with me why you think that's so important? And then they would tell me every reason that they needed to offer employee benefits. And it got all of those issues that I knew I could help them with out on the table. And that's the goal of your discovery questions, to get that prospect to say what that prospect really needs to hear, just not from you. Now, that's enough time for today. Next week, we're going to go into our recommendation phase of our sales conversation, and I think you'll get a lot out of that as well. I'm going to teach you how to put a little psychological anchor in there that cements a great fusion point for you. If you like the videos that you're going through, take a minute, if you don't mind, subscribe below, hit that like button, share the videos. It really helps the channel out a lot. Plus, if there are people out there in sales that you think could benefit from this, please, by all means, feel welcome to share them. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.